Hello, welcome to Parasha Study Rashi on the Parashat Vayetze. Today we're going to deal with an interesting midrash that Rashi brings up and show you the wide-ranging philosophical implications of this midrash, why it's important for us to be aware of it, and how it could really impact our approach to certain values in life. Before we begin, though, I'd just like to point out that in this parasha, Rashi really developed things constantly throughout the parasha based on a far deeper understanding of highlighting the contrast between Yaakov and Esav, based off of Rahel and Leah, mentioning that at certain points in time they might have both been married to Esav for different reasons, developing the Shivatim based on the future actions. And she is doing something here throughout the parasha, is searching for a meaning in every word that comes in the parasha, looking for the implications that it has on our lives. And I'll say that this is a general statement, a general approach to Rashi that you could really find in this week's parasha. However, for us, we're going to focus on Perikute Pasukim Yud Aleph to Yud Dalid, that when Yaakov comes to Haran and he sees Rachel Vayifk, the Pasuk tells us Yaakov cries. Why is Yaakov crying? Rashi brings two interpretations. We're going to start with the second one. I already deleted the first one. Davar Ahed. Lefi Shababi Yadayim Rikaniyot. He's coming to Rachel empty-handed. Amar Eliezer Eved Avi Abba Hayu Biyadav Nizamim Smedim Bichdanoot. When Eliezer came to find a wife for Yitzhak, he came with all sorts of jewelry and all sorts of presents. Vani and Biyadi Klum, and I'm empty-handed. Why? Says Rashi, Lefi Shadaf Eliphaz ben Asav ben Mitzat Avida Harav Lehurgo. Eliphaz, the son of Esab, who also coincidentally happens to be the father of Amalek, chased after Yaakov to kill him when he was going to Haran. Esav knows he can't go himself. He sends his son to kill him, b'mitzvah aviv, to go and kill his brother. And Vesigo, he reaches up to Yaakov. And this is a fascinating idea. Eliphaz is the grandson of Yitzhak, the son of Esav, grew up with Yitzhak, so he has influence from Yitzhak. And therefore, keep in mind, Yitzhak loves Esav, so definitely his grandchild. Right? He refrained from killing Yaakov because he was connected. He had these Jewish values. What should I do? My father gave me a command to kill you. And Yaakov responds, if you take what I have, a poor person is considered dead, and therefore it's as if you fulfilled your obligation towards your father. This is a fascinating thing because halachically, this would never happen. We have a rule, divrei harav, divrei talmid, divrei mishma'in, that if somebody commands you to do davar avira, even if they're your parent, you don't listen to them. Here's the implication: is you do have to listen, you do have to fulfill in some way. And it's we in midrash in general, besides the halachic ramifications that we don't agree with. Also, what are you doing? Why do you have to say Eliphaz came, stole Yaakov's possessions that he had? And by the way, that she doubles down on this idea. And when he gets a pasuk Yud Gimel, when Lavan sees Yaakov Yaretz L'Kratu, it says Rashi Katzavur Mamun Tu'ayin. He says, "Oh, the Ivid Habayit Balakan Ba'asara Gemalim Ta'unin, full 10 camels laden with all goods." And now, okay, if this is the actual son of the household, not just a slave, who knows what he's going to bring? And so Lavan wants to him. He sees it doesn't have anything. V'habiklo, he hugs him. He says maybe he has gold on his pockets, so he hugs him to try to see if he has these things. He says maybe he sees there's no gold. Maybe he has in his mouth, he has pearls and precious jewels, and he's carrying them in his mouth. Okay, fine. Very odd, right? Very interesting. Okay, why would Yaakov be hiding Margaliot in his mouth? What type of kiss was this? Okay. It's a Lavan, and so Yaakov was forced to tell Lavan, listen, okay, what happened? When it's a he took all his money from him. And he tells him, Lavan responds, really, I shouldn't even take you in, but you know what? You're my relative, so I'll take you in. So we look at these comments of Rashi, we say, okay, what are you doing, Rashi? What do you want from us? But now I want to show you something from last week's parasha, the statement of the Ibn Ezra. It's a little bit of a famous statement, and look what the Ibn Ezra says. The Ibn Ezra is going to make a fascinating claim on Vayivis Arsevet Bechorah, and he's going to give us also an idea, a value to think about based off his analysis of the story we just saw. Why is Yaakov coming to Lavan empty-handed? And the different answer of Rashi is going to really have an impact on how we view and how we value money. Look at the Ibn Ezra. He talks about Vayetze Isav et habechora. And he comments and he says, because his father doesn't have riches, therefore Vayetze Isav et habechora. He said, what's the big deal? By the way, it's actually funny. I actually heard the opposite claim. Somebody once told me, maybe Vayetze Isav et habechora, he doesn't need a double push because his father has so much wealth, which is interesting. Right, but here the Ibn Ezra is saying the opposite. And why does he not care about the Bechorah? Because what's the double portion of the Bechorah when Yitzhak doesn't have money? So everyone asks the question, and they say, okay, where's all Abraham's money? He had a lot of money. And it says, as if they never saw someone who once had money and now is down on his luck and now is poorer in his older days. And so he says, what's the big deal? Of course this could happen. Cycles of life. So maybe Abraham gave Yitzhak money. Okay, he lost money. And he brings proof. He says Yitzhak, that's why he loved Esau, because of the hunting, because that was his food, right? That he didn't have food. That's why they're eating. That's why he gets so excited, Esau, when there's Nazir Adashim in the household, because they didn't have food normally in the household. All they lived by was his hunting, and that's why when he wants to come to town to give a beracha, if he has luxuries, because he's a rich person, what does he need to tell himself to go get him hunting? No, he didn't have food. That was food, and that's why Rivka, when she was dressing Yaakov, she had to take the big day Esav, Hamudot, because Yaakov didn't have. And he says, and this is the point really we want to focus on, why didn't his mother give him riches on the way? That's all Yaakov needed when he said, Hashem, if you give me bread and clothing, as if he had nothing. Why didn't she send him money? She loved him. And now she forces him to watch a sheep because he has no money. He has to watch a sheep for 14 years and want to marry his wives. Okay. It says the Ibn Ezra, even though the next perek after Vayetze Isav et Bechorah, Vayigdal Ha'ish Yitzhak, no, that was earlier in his lifetime. And the Ibn Ezra constantly is very comfortable saying things are out of order. And Mukdam Torah will say it as it suits him, really, whenever he wants. That Ramban will categorically attack him as he does so throughout the Torah. Then Ramban far more insistent in saying things on order unless you're forced to say otherwise based off the dates. Okay. But here's the important point. Now that Ibn Ezra is going to get to a value statement. So since Yitzhak doesn't have money, Ivrei lev yahshevu hi'aoshir ma'alai gedullah l'sadikim. Ivrei lev, people are blind. They think money is important. I mean, what does it mean they're blind? All they can see is the physical. They can't see really what's important. And therefore, the Sadiq specifically has to be an Ashir. But they're blind, he says. Eliyahu walks around. If you look at the description of his clothes in Sefer Melachim, it's not very nice clothing. He's living by himself, being fed meat and bread from the ravens. Eliyahu definitely doesn't come off as someone who has a lot of earthly possessions. But there's a Sadiq, says even Ezra, who doesn't have money, and therefore you can have Sadiqim that are not rich. And the further asks, why would Hashem not give Yitzhak money? Why would Hashem do this? And it says, even Ezra, okay, I don't know. Why is he blind? I don't know. God has his ways. I don't know. We don't understand Hashem ways. And that's what he says. Okay, he wanted Yitzhak to be poor. Rashi's midrash now becomes crucial because even Ezra is saying a general rule: we don't need to value money, nor should it be a good thing for a tzaddik to have money. We have many tzaddikim without money; it's at random. And he's putting down the value of money. Is this related to the Ibn Ezra's personal biography? For those who are aware of his personal biography, interesting suggestion. I'm not sure, but definitely this is what the Ibn Ezra is saying. Money, definitely not a value. And God is not really interested in awarding them with money. He'll award him with a child, even though his wife is barren, in order to ensure the continuity. He'll award him with his Eretz Yisrael, but money he doesn't need to give him. The midrash that Rashi brings, no. Yitzhak had a lot of money. He was rich. And definitely he gave some to Yaakov to go down. And it's bothersome. Where is that money? Comes to serve as the opposing point of view to the Ibn Ezra. Don't make this conclusion that Yitzhak doesn't have money. Of course he has that money. He's the Ab. He's one of the Avot of Am Yisrael, and Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, they will become successful because Hashem loves them. And Hashem's love manifests itself in their physical success. And therefore, the Osher is a true ma'alah for the Tzaddikim. And the greatest of Tzaddikim, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, all tremendously wealthy. And it happens to be Yaakov had a time in his life. For some reason, he had no money, maybe because of Eliphaz is taking his money. Fine, it needs to be addressed. Why? But don't say that because Yitzhak didn't have money to give him, because Hashem wouldn't allow him to be impoverished. Hazal will go on and do the same thing with Moshe Rabbeinu, that Moshe Rabbeinu got the emeralds that he used to carve out the second Luchot. Hashem gave him a box of emeralds as money. So they were all rich, they were all successful, because God's love for a Sadiq ideally should manifest itself in the Sadiq's physical success. And I think this is something important. This Midrash serves as a way to answer the claims of the Ibn Ezra, but not just that, it serves to talk about the value of money. Money is riches, a value for righteous people. And now we could conclude, because of Midrash, we could conclude, yes, we could prevent ourselves from reaching the conclusion of the Ibn Ezra, which seems to be not the approach that Hazal want us to say. And therefore, they talk about Nevuah, somebody has to be Haham Gibor ve'ashir. He has to be rich. When the Kohen Gadol becomes appointed, the Hava Kohanim have to ensure that he is rich. There's a value for the righteous people for riches, and it's something interesting Judaism will not give up upon, even though Judaism will speak about don't be hedonistic and other values as well. But this Rashi that lies here is far more important than it seems. And that's why oftentimes we have to pay attention to the Midrash, which Rashi brings down, not just for the purpose of the actual question of the text, but to understand how it can help shape our values. That being said, have a Shabbat Shalom. Read the rest of the Rashis on the Parasha. They're really beautiful. They're really creating something with a lot of meaning, and attempt to figure out what that is. And Be'ezrat Hashem will be back next week with Parashat Vayishlach. Shabbat Shalom.